What's up, YouTubers? It's Ernie, and we're going to be discussing Dark Knight's Metal number 3. Now, I know in some of the previous videos, I was grouping together a couple of issues to make a video, but honestly, those videos turned out to be kind of longer than I would like for them to be, just because I'm long-winded, and that's what I do. But I wanted to scale those down a hair, and also it helps me catch up, so that way I can just focus on other videos and not try and group a bunch of stuff together. So I'm even kind of playing with the idea of breaking up the next Dark Knight's Metal video, which would focus on the Drowned and the Dawnbreaker. I'm thinking about splitting those up. And I don't know, let me know what you guys think in the comments. But before we get started, hit me up in the comments and let me know what future videos you want to see me put up. And also consider clicking subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, and tap that bell button so you make sure you don't miss any videos that I post. Okay, so getting into Dark Knight's Metal number 3 is pretty cool. I like the aesthetic they have going on in this series. I mean, it's crazy and insane, and there's some weird stuff in there that just falls flat every now and again, but I really like the story, or at least, you know, what it seems like their long game is. I mean, it's pretty interesting. One of the things I really enjoy is in that opening scene that we get to see Bruce and Clark and Diana and, you know, the Damian Wayne and you know, Jonathan just, you know, hanging out. Like, I thought that was really cool. I thought it was a really nice moment, and even though technically it was a nightmare sequence, I thought it was really interesting how they were setting up the whole Barbatos mythos. Like, and this one was a little more on the nose with how they were setting it up visually, that Batman is the doorway, with Barbatos appearing, literally coming out of, you know, Bruce's body, which was pretty crazy. We kind of see this sequence where it almost kind of reminds you of The Matrix a little bit. You know, you get that scene where they get Neo out of the Matrix, and you see all these all these pods and things like that, you know, being strewn across a great distance. And I mean, you get kind of an idea of this in Dark Knight's Metal with you know, all the bodies that, you know, that are laid up against this wall, and Diana ends up rescuing Superman and pulling him out of it. I'm not gonna say it's the exact same thing, but what they were doing, Superman being, you know, lodged in this temporal pod stasis type deal, it almost kind of reminds me of what happened with Batman back in, I think it was Final Crisis, where, you know, the Omega Sanction comes into play and Batman gets blasted by it, and he's on this weird journey throughout time and history and God only knows what else. I didn't read it, man, honestly, at the time. I was actually not a comic book reader at the time of Final Crisis, so I'm not very familiar with the story. I just kind of know some of the beats from it, just from, you know, other people talking to me about it. We get to see a little shot of Devastator going all in on Superman. He just ends up like just laying the smack down on Superman. There's a nice little scene where Superman's talking to the Batman who laughs, and this Batman, the way he's written, it does sound like the Joker, but it's still got that edge of Batman because, yeah, it is Bruce Wayne. But I love the fact he's still got those robins, like, you know, on the chain, like there's some dogs or something like that, and they're still yelling crow and all this other stuff. What lets you know that these guys are not to be trifled with. It the fact that these guys literally, the Dark Knights of the multiverse, that they are a force to be reckoned with, is the fact that there's more than a few times that this has happened in the series where one or more of them have reminded the heroes that you keep saying that you guys are gonna win and save the day, but you said the exact same thing on the world where I killed you. I really like that that's a thing. That makes me even more excited to read some more of those other stories coming, because I know we got the Merciless, and I'm pretty sure Devastator's got a book coming up pretty soon too. Those are the ones we really haven't seen, and I'm pretty sure the Batman Who Laughs will be the final one, because, you know, that just makes sense. And I mean, they kind of give you a little bit of the Devastator's origin, which I'm pretty sure, you know, we're gonna see in comic book form. But I love the fact he just kind of throws out there that, you know, the way the Devastator was created was because, you know, Superman got out of control on whatever Earth that he came from, and Batman decided that, hey, the only way I can stop you is by experimenting with the Doomsday virus, and likely winds up, you know, exposing himself to it. So I mean, that who's to say if that's actually the case? But I do like the dynamic, because I want to say it was in the Red Death, it was, you know, kind of brought to light that We come from worlds that are born from your darkest fears. But what if they weren't really your fears? What if they were actually your greatest desires? I mean, and that's something to really take home from this, and I think that's gonna, I mean, and it has played heavily up to this point, because if you look at a lot of these characters, these are characters who are literally doing everything that Batman wouldn't do, and using the powers in ways that even, the other characters would never do. I mean, look at the Murder Machine, look at the Red Death. And of course, if you've read by now Dawnbreaker and The Drowned, look at them. These are characters who have done things that even Batman's not bold enough to do himself. Once again, we get to see, Dr. Fate kind of come into play, and the Flash comes in and swoops off with Superman before Devastator can, throw in the killing blow, or what might have turned into the killing blow. We don't know. They go to a place called the Oblivion Bar, and we get to see, all the other characters, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and of course Kendra is there, Nightwing and Robin. They're doing a lot of things that are callbacks to the Teen Titans. The thing that you really need to know is that the Teen Titans were taken captive, literally just getting paraded around and having the life sucked out of them by the Batman Who Laughs. It's pretty messed up too, because we get to see Damian Wayne kind of, hitting a low point. Damian Wayne is all about control, and seeing him lose his friends like that, and even seeing Nightwing, losing a team, which, is something that's near and dear to his heart. You can clearly see that, it's taking a toll on him. Go back and look into the Green Arrow Dark Knight's Metal tie-in, and you see that they discover they can take out the Batmen of the multiverse, these dark universe versions of themselves. The Nth Metal is the key. It becomes a foot race to try and figure out where it all is. So Dr. Fate, Steel, and Mr. Terrific, they're putting together a plan to try and figure out how to get their hands on more Nth Metal. But before they can really jump into it, one of the evil Robin shows up, and then right when it's about to try and pounce on the heroes, Deathstroke just shows up out of nowhere. And before they can really dig too deep in it, because let's not forget, Deathstroke has technically become a hero, more or less. Because this is one of those things, like in comic books, that I find really weird, that all the villains are becoming heroes, all the heroes are becoming villains, even if it's temporary or permanent or whatever. It's kind of funny how they're flipping it on its head. But the thing that really bothered me in this comic is that not anything with Dr. Fate. I thought that part was pretty cool. I found it really weird that they killed off a classic DC character for no reason. And that's the Nightmaster. I don't know why they did it. Why was it important? What was the point? None of it made any sense, but they just killed him for no good reason. But when you get down to it, though, the thing that kind of cuts back to the beginning of the book is that Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, they have a code. There's a thing that they do that lets you know that they are in trouble. It's like some kind of some kind of wordplay that they can use to say, hey, I'm in trouble, I need your help. And the codes are different depending on who's in trouble. So in this case, Carpe Diem, it was CD because it stands for Clark and Diana. Superman says, I would send out DB for Diana and Bruce if he was in trouble, and Diana's would be BC for Bruce and Clark. It's a way for them to say, hey, I need help without saying it out loud in case, they need to be secretive about it. But anyway, Steel opens up the dark multiverse, a portal into it, and Superman goes in without hesitation to save his friend. But we find out really quickly that it was a setup. This was not a cry for help. We see Batman, Bruce Wayne, our Batman, who is withered and frail, and he's like, hey, I warned you. At the end of the day, he was saying that I wasn't trying to give you the code for help. He's like, I was trying to give you a warning, because, and this is something that is a common theme whenever they bring up the multiverse, is that it's all about vibrations, vibrational patterns, and things like that. And it was the notes of the songs that their sons were playing together. He said that it was D and then C, and that was a reverse of the code, which means it wasn't me crying for help. It wasn't me trying to tell you to come and help me. I was trying to tell you, don't come here. And this one is kind of a little weird, because honestly, do you really think that Superman would have figured that out? It's like, Batman, come on, you can't expect Superman to have figured out your convoluted warning. And that's one of the parts, like I said, every Dark Knight's Metal book, I love it when I read it, but I always find at least one thing in there that I'm like, it's like an eye roll that's so hard that it's audible. Like, you can literally hear my eyes rolling in my head. I really like this book. I think this is probably, like, it keeps ramping up with each book. I get more excited for the next, which is something that, I don't know if you keep up with my Secret Empire videos that I've been doing, but that's kind of the opposite of how I've been feeling about Secret Empire. I get less interested with each book that I read. But anyways, let me know what you all think about Dark Knight's Metal. Let me know in the comments. Also, if you like this video, click the like button. And if you haven't done so already, click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, and tap that bell button so you make sure you don't miss any videos that I post. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Plus Ultra.